Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Keeping It Spiritually Simple. And today I have a wonderful guest. But before I introduce this wonderful soul, a little housekeeping. So this is simply getting to know you, getting some more information to expand on what we may already know, Q&A type thing. So I hope that each and every one of you can take that with you and just allow it to give you thought. We do appreciate the likes and the subscribes and the comments, but think before you make a comment. Let it just kind of marinate the information, because we're all just sifting through and learning, how to be here in this now moment moving forward. So hello, Ismael. How are you today?
I am very good, thank you. And
Good, good.
yourself?
Awesome. Now I know that we're time sensitive, so we're just going to jump right into some questions. So I know that you've said you're from another planet,
Mhm.
and petri dish combination of all kinds of good things implanted in your mom. And so was this something that you pre-incarnated with the agreement, or do you think your mother was pre-incarnated with the agreement? Because we already know that your grandmother was not, because she enlisted you into redemption camp right away. So
Mhm.
what about you and your mom?
Well, I was part of a covert project called the Project Oak Tree and Project Ibis. So about 42 women were picked to be born in the 50s, and that was my mother was one of them. And they had to give birth to a male that would be born between 1970 and 1978. And I was born in 1977. And so what they did is the I guess CIA shadow government went back in time to extract DNA from like Solomon, Achilles, Zeus, Apollo, and I think one more Thoth, in order to bring back the gods of old. And so and that's where the petri dish comes into play. I do remember my mother telling me that when she was pregnant, it was a interesting pregnancy because half the time I was extracted from her womb in order to be genetically edited through slicing and splicing, adding more genes, but not only from the ancient characters, but also from different celestials from across the multiverse to create some sort of a ultra super soldier that they would be using in the future war against AI. And so I was one of those 42 children, and this was also associated with the secret space program, but not Solar Warden. It was related to Radiant Guardians, which was designed by intelligences beyond the Galactic Federation. I'm talking about intelligences that hail from harmonic universe number 4 and 5. See, the Galactic Federation only operates in harmonic universe 1, 2, and 3. They also have higher ups that oversee and observe the Federation and the entities below the 9th dimension. And so I was part of a program that involved entities that exist in dimensions 10, 11, 12, and 13. Some of them are known, I guess I could reveal who they are. The Azurites were like the main ones, the Blue Avians, the Atonais, the Brigidettes. Collectively, they are known as the Rock Confederacy. And so they are the ones that initiated what they called Project Radiant Guardians, which was an attempt to advance the genetics of certain members of the human race by combining the best genes of the gods of old, the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the speed of Achilles, and to kind of resurrect them back in one, in certain individuals. And of course, I was genetically enhanced during what they call the 20 years in back to use like 60% of my genetic material. And in so doing, I just went to go see Black Adam, and that kind of triggered a lot of memories because I was exactly like Black Adam. I was indestructible. I was able to fly. And not only did I have electricity running through my body, but I was also able to emanate laser through my eyes. I harnessed the power of the sun. We were solar. I guess that we were able to not only harness magnetic energy, but also solar energy through our bodies. And so we were used in many, many universes to pretty much restore and save and liberate a lot of the galaxies that had been under the control of the AI god and his minions. So a lot of the entities that we were battling against were like giant mechanical spiders, huge, some of them look like giant gaseous clouds, similar to what we see in Doctor Strange in the first movie, you know, that villain.
Mhm.
So yeah, some of these entities were way beyond the Draco, and so that's why Project Oak Tree and Project Ibis, which later, I guess, developed into the Ultra Soldier programs. I am what it became known as the 8th prototype, and so I served within the column of the original Ashtar before it was compromised, and we were, you know, I guess pretty much the heroes of a lot of the universes that had been afflicted by AI, by the AI god.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I know you talk about that in your book as well.
No, not in our cosmic origin. No, that's going to be in
Okay.
the next book to come.
Okay. I knew something was about a book, and I know the cosmic origin, our cosmic origin, but I knew you had something coming up about this. I thought maybe it might have had something leading up to that.
Oh yeah,
No.
it's gonna lead up to that. In fact, the next book that I'm writing, it's our Cosmic Origin Volume 2, but the subtitle of it is going to be Gods Among Us, which I will be revealing more about the Super Soldier and Ultra Soldier programs that were designed by, you know, both Dark and Light Brotherhood, because in the end, we're all fighting the AI, including Lucifer. You know, Lucifer has recently been redeemed, and so ultimately we are fighting this entity that is directly related to the archonic energy, the Ahriman. The Ahriman is said to be, I guess, they're preparing they're developing the infrastructure for the Ahriman to take form in the form of artificial intelligence. So that's going to happen at the end of the millennium, of course, because there's going to be a bifurcation of timelines. You know, unfortunately, some people are going to go into the transhumanist path, and at the end of the millennium, that's when the super soldiers, ultra soldiers, and the star seeds that become activated when the solar flash takes place are going to be dealing with one last, you know, battle against AI and Omega himself.
This is mind-blowing, I have to tell you. And it's different listening to a recording on YouTube than it is sitting here with you and listening to all of this. It's a lot. So, you know, I hear a lot about, you know, angels and archangels, and I always associate them with prime source, God, creator, narrative, right? And then, you know, in the last number of years, learning more and more about the galactics, I hear about war and planet saving and repopulating the earth and so on. But why do we not hear about them all together, working together?
Well, what's happening right now is that the deities of ancient times, including Zeus, Enlil, and many of the other guardians, Apollo, you know, the gods of old, Krishna, they're all fighting the AI. They're going into other universes and they're still doing battle, you know, because it takes more than just you could say it's taking the combined effort of all the guardians from multiple universes to fight this AI god. This AI god has reached a level of power all the way up to the 11th dimension. So he's extremely powerful. But again, you know, that's why through Project Oak Tree and Ibis, we were developed as a culmination and amalgamation of all the deities, not only from our past, but from other universes, put into, you know, just a few individuals. And so in order to put an end to this, you know, cosmic virus at the end of the millennium.
I hear you. That's a lot of DNA to put under one hood.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you don't implode at times.
well,
You
you know,
know,
there's times where I feel electricity running through my body. There's a few occasions in my lifetime where through meditation, I was able to master gravity and levitate. But quickly, as I looked around, I didn't want nobody to call the police and think, oh, wow, that's a, That's a unusual individual. I was like meditating 2 feet off the floor. And
Mm,
there's been even once where I've actually transformed. I was meditating, and I think I was meditating on a vortex. And all of a sudden I felt like a stream of energy, and my physical body just changed. And I became like 15 foot tall, wings came out, and I was just this huge buff archangel. And so I guess
wow.
that's in my highest form.
So you have to be careful where and how much you practice that particular. Right now, I think your path is getting the word out to other people to expand um, limited knowledge, which is what we really have been living in, a lot of limited knowledge. I wanted to touch base on cloning, if I could.
Cloning?
So cloning,
Mhm.
cloning. So I understand why we would create a clone. We've got to send out some, uh, protect the main and send out someone else and robotic type things. But do clones know they're clones?
Well, um, I don't think so. I don't think so, because we have the technology to extract consciousness from one body and transfer it over to the next. So they have no clue that their prior body, didn't make it. So in their mind's eye, or in their mind, they still feel like it's them. So I don't think they have the awareness that they're a clone. However, there's two types of clones. There's the clones that have been used in the secret space program, which is how they age regress people, after they blank slate their mind, erase all their memories of serving,
Mm-hmm.
where they create different bodies and then they age regress them to the time that they were, like within minutes of taking them off world. And then they extract their consciousness from their prior body, just like how we see in the movie Avatar. And then they which, by the way, all these movies are documentaries. They're all disclosing the truth. And then they transfer that consciousness over to the new body. So that's one type of clone. The second type of clone is what we've been seeing here with the elites, with the cabal families. Those clones are completely soulless. They are just, bodies that are being animated, kind of like NPCs, by the AI system, which is already in place.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have an AI system that is actually running the cabal right now. So all those people in power that are associated with the dark side, you could say the dark occult, are no longer human. They're just NPCs that are being programmed by the artificial intelligence.
Interesting. So, we have something what I think on this. Well, let me just touch base on something else. So we have a lot of people talking about, the different clones. And I think there's been a famous singer recently who had to tap the side of her head to get her eye to open back up. And I'm a realist, and my philosophy is keep it simple. So whenever I hear information, I look at it as information. And then how does it apply to the now, right? So when I'm thinking about the clone thing, I'm thinking, okay, well, I can see this particular singer sending out a duplicate of herself, right? She's at home doing this, but the people who own her contracts need to continue to make money. So they send someone out that looks just like them, that can perform in such a way that everyone's happy at the end of the day. But now that we're talking about all this information, everyone's looking for, oh, their ears are different, their eyes are different, they must be. So do you think there's more out there than what most people realize there are?
Oh, definitely. Even within the awakened community, we're still only scratching the surface. So that's why I only release when I release information. I don't like to overwhelm people, because if I do, it's just too much for them to process and digest. So I always disclose just the right amount of information in order to kind of take people, one notch at a time, one increment at a time, right? Because when the full disclosure takes place, even those that are part of the awakened community that are taking the red pill are still going to be in some sort of a shock.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I have no doubt. I mean, I myself feel that, I have enough information where I think I'm going to have some understanding when all this happens. But my guide team has said, you're still not going to get the whole picture, because it's one thing to think about and anticipate, and it is another to experience it. So we can't stand here all, armed up saying, oh, I got this, I'm ready, let it happen, blah, 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 when we can easily not be so prepared. So I spend each day aligning my own pillar of light as much as I can, so that whatever does come my way, I'm in solid human spiritual form, prepared to respond versus have some kind of whacked out reaction to it.
Mhm.
So another question that was coming up, I think you had discussed at some point somewhere, was the twin flame situation. Now, this is me, what I've been told from my own guide team. And when I say I'm told something, it's always through here. It's not through anything external. So my higher self is my twin flame, is my mirror, is my part of this, and is there guiding me. He happens to be a he, right? I'm a female on this earth, male on the other side, guiding me and instructing me and so on and so forth. But we have so many people putting out, your twin flame is walking the earth, keep looking for him, searching, 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 searching. And of course, 84 billion supposed people, you'd have more luck finding a needle in a haystack, right? Are these twin flames that are on the other side, do you feel that they're going to come to the earth and join forces with those of their twin that has been doing their work and has raised their vibrations enough to be able to be together in this lifetime to enhance the world?
Yes, I do believe that not all twin flames are incarnated. In fact, I think most are, the other part of you. It's actually an aspect of you. It's
Mhm.
integrating both your feminine and your masculine. And I do believe that when the ascension does take place, every starseed would be reunited with their twin flame. So, sometimes it has to happen that way, because that is a part of yourself that is your number one guide, your number one protector, your number one, making sure that because you are embodied in the third dimension, making sure that you are protected, guided, and safe. And so sometimes, that needs to happen in order for you to be secured.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of meeting my higher self and my twin about 6, 7 years ago. And then my sight began to develop because we were able to kind of come together. And then a lot of my own sensory started to awaken once I understood that other aspect of myself. And I also want to point out, when we talk about the masculine and the feminine of ourselves, it truly has nothing to do with genitalia. It has to do with an energetics, right? So I always like to make that clear with people, because I will see a lot of females on this earth plane. Yes, feminine, well, it has nothing to do with genitalia. It has to do with the combination and gathering of the energies and the balance, correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Because in essence, we are neither male and female. It's just
Yes.
that this world of duality, in the lower dimension, everything is
Hmm.
separated into duality.
Yes.
So, there's been many of times where a lot of us, I mean, how can I say it? Okay, so every single one of us has had incarnations as both males and females.
Hmm.
And that's just part of the overall learning experience, And so one of the things that we're doing now in this final incarnation, as we are preparing to activate and transform into the angelic humans that we were meant to be before we were downgraded by Enki and his genetic experiments in Atlantis, is that we are going to be the integration of every aspect of ourselves. In other words, we're bringing back that union between Father God and Mother God within each and every single one of us, because there is no separation. The
Yes.
archetypes are not out there. The archangels are not out there. The ascended masters are not out there. The adepts and kohans of the 7 major cosmic rays and the 5 minor cosmic rays are all within each and every single one of us. And that's why I tell people it's time to take off the crutches. It's time to take off the training wheels. Stop praying to Saint Germain. Stop invoking the protection of Metatron. You are Saint Germain. Metatron is within you. You are it, There is
Yes.
nothing to attain. Everything is within you. And this is the time to really embody that.
Brings tears to my eyes to hear you say that. Not everybody openly says that, because everything is within us. We're a droplet of all things, good, bad, and indifferent, if we have to label it.
Exactly.
I talk a lot about the invisible obstacle course, and that we come here to Earth to play and learn through play, right? Play is sometimes painful, it's sometimes wonderful and rewarding, but there's a lot of obstacles that are unseen. And the pitfalls, the rocks, the quicksand, whatever. And our job is to walk through all of this and learn from it. Like, hey, I wouldn't repeat that. Or, hey, I would repeat that, but I would tweak it. So everything is a learned lesson. So with all of these obstacle courses that are invisible to many people, what would be the one obstacle, or what comes to mind, that people could begin to be more aware of and expand their level of awareness to accepting the fact that there are invisible obstacles here?
Well, the best way to identify an obstacle is, well, first you have to understand that everything that happened in our lives and everything that's happening, we actually programmed it before we embodied in physical form. So obstacles aren't really, we have to stop seeing them as obstacles. We have to start seeing them as learning experiences for the development and the growth of our soul. There is no such thing as opposition, this experiment in duality, this experiment in experiencing the lower dimensions. It's part of the overall growth of our own soul, so without the obstacles, without the challenges, everything becomes stagnant. There is no growth. So I think it's time that people begin to embrace challenge. I think it's time that people begin to embrace, opposition, because that is the reason why we continue to grow. Because it's not ultimately about the evolution of our body. It all boils down to the evolution of our consciousness. And when we realize that we are a individualized unit of consciousness, living or existing and part of a larger consciousness system known as the universal architect, we begin to see everything as a learning experience. And therefore, in that sense, there is no evil and there is no good. It's just all part of the overall experience. And
Yes.
so sometimes we have to transcend duality. We have to stop seeing things as negative and positive. We have to start seeing, because even Lucifer is a part of God. Even, the fallen angels are a part of God. And I'm sorry, this might trigger some people. Even the Dracos are a part of God. The Draco reptilians, before they came into embodiment, they were all angelics, just like we were, and in many cases, some of us in some incarnations experience the role of the dark side. Not, we haven't all been Lyrans and Pleiadians and Andromedans. In some of our lifetimes, we had to experience what it was like to be a reptilian. And the beauty of it all is that, this is the time to bring it back into neutrality. This is the time to integrate duality, polarity, and bringing it back into just balance, because ultimately that's what, I guess I'm going to just say it, that's what Christ came to do. Christ came to be, the way shower of bringing it back into singularity. He never professed or taught, good and evil. He taught the way to the Father, and the way to the Father is by, reaching that point of neutrality, that point of singularity within us. Because by doing so, when you do that, you actually begin to perceive and embody the kingdom of the Father. And what is the meaning of that? Oneness. Think about it. Harmony, balance. It's all one. There is no separation. And so that's what he taught. When he used to teach the inner mysteries to his closest apostles and disciples. Of course, to the masses, he spoke in parables, because he understood that these souls were younger and they weren't ready to understand the deeper mysteries. But to those that show signs of readiness, his inner closest apostles, he spoke to them the truth. He said, if you want to seek the kingdom of the Father, it is not a place, it is not an expectation. It is already all around us. It's just something that you guys have to realize within yourself. Kingdom of God is within. And by understanding that, you begin to see it all around you.
I'm getting a kick out of what you're saying, because when the question came through about the invisible obstacle course and so on, and what could be like maybe one thing that we could do, which is the question I was asking you. And my answer was dissolving the polarization, dissolving the polarity, and coming to a place of neutrality, or just being in that inner balance of being able to see it all, knowing that all is what makes everything what it is, and stop promoting light, dark, good, bad, and all of the labeling of it, and just come together and be in the isness, in the middle somewhere, and just being able to observe. Now, before you get going, I want to ask you, a lot of people are going through, at least I believe the ones that will be listening to this are going through a lot of up-leveling and so on, and working with foods and things like that. For example, back in 2017, red meat just wasn't appealing to me. I could go buy the best cut of beef, or chicken or whatever, and go and grass-fed and everything else and make it. It would look just like out of a magazine, but it just wouldn't taste. So I gave up kind of the red meat thing, and slowly but surely, I've developed this thing where food just doesn't have a taste to me, no matter what. Occasionally, I might get one or two sparkles going on in there, but a lot of people are going through things where food, it doesn't seem that appealing, although we must have it right now in order to fuel ourselves and so on. And what is something that we can do to be more aware of this? Because I know for me, it doesn't stop me from eating. I'll pick up a bag of candy or something, go, oh, okay, this tastes good. I'm just trying to feed myself in some ways, and I have to look at it and, is that emotional or what is that? But what can we do to help people to become more aware of what it is that they're placing in their bodies, and how to work with the adjustment of all of these taste buds, and also some of the nausea that comes with it? You might eat something and it just doesn't agree with you anymore. So any suggestions on that area?
Yeah, well, listen to your stomach, and definitely listen to your taste buds. Your body is living, every cell is alive, obviously its own entity. So we have to begin to listen to what our body needs. If your body's craving something, it's because you need that in your body. However, it is important to discern the difference between genetically modified foods and organic foods. And what is the difference? Is that in the organic foods that are being grown by the local farmers are non-GMO. They don't give them hormones, they don't give them pesticides, and they're just living food that are still, carrying their nutritional value. And so I always suggest to, treat your body like a temple, feed it what your body needs. And in some cases, not everyone has to be a vegan. Not everyone has to be a carnivore. Find that balance. I find balance, and if you're going to be eating meat, make sure it's from cows that are being massaged and are being treated well, and not in that low frequency of being slaughtered through fear, but, in that high frequency of pleasure, because that's what the frequency that we're observing. Same with the chickens, if you're going to eat eggs or chicken, which many people do, make sure that you eat the ones that are free cage, the ones that are not being slaughtered in the masses, so there's nothing wrong with eating meat, and there's nothing wrong with being pure vegan. Everybody's body is different. In fact, some of the secret, some of these secret programs where they were developing their super sidekicks through Project Stargate, one of the things that they would give these people in order to enhance their psychokinetic powers and their telepathic abilities was red meat, because there's something in the red meat that actually activates your pineal gland. And so, this was part of a covert CIA program. Nobody really likes to talk about that. But again, they were feeding these people red meat 4 to 5 times a week. And, among having them undergo strenuous methods and I guess physical challenges to develop their psychic abilities. But that's one of the things that they gave them. So there's nothing wrong with eating meat as long as you're eating the proper meat. And there's nothing wrong with eating vegetables. Again, some plants have lectins. Beans have lectins, tomatoes have lectins. So for those that are just vegetarian or vegan, you're eating the worst thing in the world if you're eating beans. You got to pretty much know what you're eating and what you're putting in your body. You have to become educated, because even plants could kill you if you're eating the wrong plants.
Yes. Yeah, I for one, I judge how I feel after I've eaten something on whether I will continue to eat it, how my body feels. There are so many people looking outside of themselves for every bit of information. It's a shame blame game. Oh, I'm supposed to be starving and water fasting and only eating vegetables, and you're eating meat, you're damned. I'm not, vice versa. Again, you're in that polarity of not finding the harmonic balance within yourself, which also finds the harmonic balance within the original source of the earth and those that are here right now to make this change. Because we're stuck in a lot of old programming and we're giving our power away. We're giving permission slips out constantly by handing it to someone else to retrieve their information, right? So now it can become our information instead of detaching from the distractions, finding out who we are through our own spiritual practices, whatever that may be. It may be that you can have a short or long meditation. It may be you can have a short or long in nature. It may be you like to just go for a drive, or maybe you just like to talk to family. Whatever that is, you have to find it on how that makes your body feel. Well, I really do appreciate your time here today, and we will definitely do a part 2 at some point. I know you're busy, but I think it's important to address these things that come up very candidly, and also in reality of how does it affect your now moment? How are you feeling right now about all of it? Sometimes this information just allows what I call the brain swamp. And you just have to stop all the information and sit back and tap into here and align yourself. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. And also bear in mind that, it is not good to judge others, because when people are judging or hating on others, it's a reflection of their own, insecurities or their own, whatever it is that they're judging on. When they put the blame on others, it's because it's a reflection of themselves. And so if you really want to walk the path of spirituality, you have to be non-judgmental. You have to be in a place where you respect everyone. And even if they have different beliefs than you still have to honor them. They're their own individuality. And, I don't judge people at all, because by judging others is, it's like I'm judging myself, and not everyone is on the same level of consciousness. You have to respect that everyone's on different levels of awakening. Everyone's on different paths. But one thing that we all have in common is that, we all want to be free. We all want to be sovereign, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. So as long as we have that common ground, let's work together as a team instead of, trying to bring others down, or instead of, judging or putting blame outside of yourself. Look in the mirror and see why it is that you're putting the blame on somebody else, because it's probably something that you're still not resolved within yourself. And so this is the time to just really, begin to cooperate and begin to respect, despite of their different points of views. This is the time to just really come together as a team, as a team,
Yeah, I agree with you. And if you feel someone is looking down on you, don't hand them the permission slip and accept their blame and their shame, because that's something that, you set your dial. I've been doing a lot of work with something Spirit told me, and that was being a spiritual athlete. And every day you've got to go through your spiritual athletic practice, your spiritual nutritional practice, and what fuels you, so that you can be in those spaces and let the people look down on you if they choose, but you don't need to take it in. You can just be like, that's there, and let that be theirs. It doesn't have to affect you in any way, shape, or form. Well,
Yes.
Ismael, thank you so very much. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
Yeah, just be mindful of your thoughts, because your thoughts are creating your reality. We have, I think, over 900,000 thoughts that go through our mind in a 24-hour period. Make sure that you are aware and mindful of what you're thinking, because your thoughts are creating reality. So be aware of that and control your thoughts, control your emotions, and more importantly, be good to yourself, because without self-love, there is no love for others or other beings. So you have to remember that. And there has to be a balance between service to others and service to self. Again, it's not just one extreme over the other. That's why I do believe in the law of one, but there has to be a balance, because you can't just compromise yourself, or how can I say, you can't go around pleasing others at the expense of yourself. You have to stay true to yourself, be authentic, regardless of what people think about you. Stay true to who you are, because, you are God in embodiment, and everyone is an expression of that. And the beauty of it all is that, even though we are all one on a spiritual level, I always honor and I am grateful that there is diversity in that oneness. Not every single person is the same. And that's the beauty of it all, is that diversity is also beautiful, but there has to be a balance. And that's how we are able to live in harmony, by honoring and respecting everybody's individuality. And for those that haven't read my book, it is available on Amazon. Very powerful, very revealing. The most revealing book of the century, they say. I'm also teaching online courses, Starseed Cosmology. I have classes booked till February. So if you guys want to go in depth about cosmic history, star races, galactic history, learning about different dimensions, chakras, among other things, I would strongly suggest taking my course. It's deep knowledge. And
would you suggest that people get your book first and before taking the course? And would that help bring things together in
Sure.
signing up for your course?
Yeah, they could get my book first, so they can have an understanding of what to expect during the course. Yeah, because the course is 20 years of research compact into 6 hours of lecturing. and you get to interact with me in real time. I get to answer questions. So, it's fun. It's very fun. So far, I've been getting positive feedback from everyone that has taken my course, so. And
they can find that on Project Restoration Zion?
That's my Instagram, Project Restoration Zion 1. That's the only one.
Okay.
Be aware, I do have a lot of imposters, a lot of fake accounts out there. So it's just Project Restoration Zion 1. You can find me on Facebook as well. I'm on Twitter. Where else? Oh, and my YouTube channel is Project Space Restoration _ Zion. What I could do is I could just give you links to all my stuff.
Yes, absolutely. They can definitely look at those. I know months ago I got an Instagram message from Ismael Perez, the writer, and it was a rather flirtatious message, and I'm like, dilly. Robot, bot, like that's not him.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. I never address women as hun or sweetheart. I'm not the flirtatious type. I'm very professional. So if you guys get a message from a fake account saying, I have a deep connection with you, honey, it is not me, guys. It is a fake imposter trying to be me.
Yeah.
Do not buy into that. I am so not like that at all.
Yeah. Well, if you watch any of your real videos, you're definitely not like that. And I can also vouch, because we've just had this amazing dialogue together. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Please do like, subscribe, and share, and check out his courses, his book. And if we can be of any assistance, leave us messages in our comments. We appreciate them. All right. Have a good weekend. Bye.